Hi guys, welcome to this system here. It's built with the ISO of, yes, Saturday, August the 7th was built, and 21098 is the version number. It's an ArcoLinuxD Plasma, but we changed it a lot. That's called rising or theming, and that's fun. Topic of the video is that we are going to explain and show how to install ArcoLinuxD. Remember that we have websites, a few of them, and we have a forum for questions. There is so much knowledge already. The questions that you might think of asking have probably already been answered, right? 4 years of development, 4 years of videos, 2,400 videos or something like that. I mean, it's gonna be out there. The thing is, use the websites. I've made videos about how to install ArcoLinux XL, XS, XS-LTS, and now it's time to make the ArcoLinux XD. Now, XD maybe I should go to the ArcoLinux University Learning Path thing here, because people tend to go to the D version too fast. This is the learning curve. You need to get knowledge, and knowledge is time, and people want to skip it. And I know you want to learn and you want to see your progress go super fast like Speedy Gonzalez, right? But it's not. It should be gradual and should be over months and maybe even years. Because ArcoLinuxD, in my eyes, is a very difficult ISO. If you don't know what the packages are, if you don't know what services are, how to enable them, that ArcoLinuxD is just way too difficult. That's why it's in phase 6, right? Go and learn first all the other phases before you start with ArcoLinuxD. Now the installation video is here. Start here, installation. Lots of infos, how to burn and all that. You go check that out, but the video I'm gonna make is gonna come in here. Okay, and there are two options indeed. There's an option to select nothing in Calamares and the option to select a lot in Calamares. But for the option 2, you need knowledge, right? And that's what you need to acquire over the years to come. So I'm gonna install ArcoLinuxD. I have this Oracle ready. I've installed all these guys already, but now it's time for ArcoLinuxD. Next, clone. Get the correct ISO in, which is the D version. Open, boot. And then you can boot from two things. You can either have a new system, which is the UEFI, or an older system. What noise on the street. And that's a BIOS. So this is the BIOS thing, right? And the other one has a similar look. Let's use the other look, and then maybe you already have learned something. That's the fact that you can easily switch in here to say, I'm a new system, UEFI. Just a click, and then you see this. The same thing, but no nice logo, unfortunately. So you got these lines, that's new, and that's why we need to, well, talk about it. An ISO is a picture frozen in time, and it contains a Linux kernel, it contains XF86 video drivers. And in this case, we're going the second line, we're going to remove the nouveau. The line is there because of the fact that we've encountered that some of us, depending on the hardware, they have NVIDIA, but it cannot contain nouveau. It clashes with the drivers from the open source NVIDIA drivers. So nouveau is open source NVIDIA. So some of us have no issue, they can boot like this and have the nouveau kernel and nouveau drivers there, but some of us need this choice. If you don't have NVIDIA, that's very simple. It's going to be probably this one, right? So it's or this one, and then you don't have the nouveau driver. It really doesn't bother if it's there or not. The thing is, we're giving you choices in the hope that more people with all these choices, finally, all of them, let's hope, let's hope 90% already, would be great, all people can boot into something graphical, and later on when they reboot, they also have something graphical. So that's the target, the goal, to figure out what to write. So this is going to be a fix for many people. Do you have NVIDIA? Try out these two guys. Whether it's on BIOS or on UEFI, that doesn't matter, right? It's same. Well, it's a new and the old approach. That's all. And or else use these guys. If none of those will work, then this is still the no mode set, which is a technical term that says to the kernel, whatever. Don't look at the graphical drivers, just give me the rubbish resolution. You'll see it's going to be a rubbish look. But you boot up, you see something, you can install something, and you reboot. And then you figure out, okay, what do I get? Do I need drivers? What drivers? Because there is NVIDIA and there is NVIDIA. So people who have NVIDIA, the NVIDIA driver that's now on here, that's booting if you select the line of NVIDIA, is the general NVIDIA driver for the latest hardware. Now there is also on ArcoLinux an NVIDIA 340 and a 390. So if you want to have a driver from NVIDIA.com, right, the proprietary driver, you need to actually build them from AUR. But that's maybe, well, you can figure it out later, right? After rebooting. First, need to boot in something graphical. So choose the lines, trial and error, guys, in the end. If you're a total beginner and you say, what is that? What is he saying? Don't get it. Just try it line by line. See what works for your hardware. Simple as that. Then we get the welcome app. The welcome app changed considerably. And the idea is that you move from top to bottom, right? And here you have this split. The world is a globe. ArcoLinux mirrors are located everywhere on the globe. I can, living in Belgium, get all my packages from China, right? It will take ages, but it will work. It's just gonna be a long download of all the updates and packages. Fine, it will work. So getting the new, improved, faster servers from near you, in my case Belgium, is now looking at all the servers around here, and he'll put out a list of the ArcoLinux mirrors. Definitely not Arco, right? Arch. So that's done. All my updates, all my choices, my downloads, right? My downloads will go from the first mirror that's in the list there. That's gonna be the fastest for me. Second advice we give to people is, if you're a distro hopper, right? You'll probably have partition 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and have lots of Linux versions on there. With all the issues it will involve with grub going berserk and crashing partitions. Our message is simple. Keep it simple and stupid. KISS, right? One operating system for an hard disk. So anything that's on here, remove it. You can have an SDA and have Windows. You have an SDB and have Linux, and keep them separate. You can also dual boot on the same hard disk, but follow then the tutorials on ArcoLinux.com about Calamares, how it's done. But don't start experimenting. Well, you can of course, but don't come asking for help, right? You need to figure that out when you break it. If you break it, you make it. The thing is, remove anything that's in here and start from a clean slate. That's always best. It's best for Windows, best for Mac, it's best for Linux. Give it a clean slate, whatever you run. So remove everything with this icon up here and then apply. And it looks like this. Then we started in May and July. We gave you this, the advanced installation. And we got a lot of people that really, well, had to make a lot of the decisions they couldn't make because they were beginners in Linux. They didn't know what is a Linux kernel or an Linux LTS or a hardened or a Zen, and there is so many choices. Look at all these left elements here, all these choices that can be made and created and selected and installed, even This is XFC, right? Well, it's not XFC, but it's ArcoLinuxD. So it has nothing yet. It has no desktop yet, but it gives us a minimal XFC look here. So you need to decide what desktop will I take. Like I said, this is the most difficult ISO there is. You don't start learning ArcoLinux with this one. Phase 6 or 7, go check in the ArcoLinux University learning curve. So you decide to have an SDM, for example. Open it up, see what happens. Don't want all these, you can change it. Next. Then you choose a desktop. And these, I wouldn't touch these, not the first time, because they need it, they want it. Later on you can make your own decisions, but if you want a working system, all these guys are necessary. Next. Then we have all the ArcoLinux tools where we have created a lot of meta packages, but also other things that are easy to install. We don't want any frustrations of fun, but just fun, sorry. Like the team viewer is something I use for my friends and family to quickly go to their computer and fix everything. But there's a lot of technical stuff, not here. Click, boom, team viewer works. Steam works, boom, click, works. That's what we want. We want a system that just works and does its thing. All of this is knowledge. What do I select? What's nice? What's good? What browser will I take? What editor will I take? What games? What terminal? I mean, it's a lot of choices that we put on to people as a beginner. So we've decided to say, look, let's go for a new approach and give people that are really new to Linux, new to ArcoLinux, new to ArcoLinux, base installation. This is what you normally get on other Linux distros. It's like, okay, who are we? We can speak this language, that language, everything will be translated. American English is what I would like on my menus. So I'm keeping it, but you change it to your own language if you want, your native language. Change here, assistant language, numbers, locale, next. This is important for all of us. The keyboard, that should be working just out of the box, Belgian. And here we're giving you choices that other distros don't give you, right? We want you to decide on something here. The idea is either you have a swap to Hibernate, a swap with Hibernate, a swap to file, with a file partition of your choice. Standard as beginners, I would say it would be great to take no swap ext4 if you have 8 GB or more. That's gonna be fine. If you want to go for hibernation, so that everything, if you boot up again, that all your browsers are open and the editor is open, then you need to go with Hibernate. If you don't have enough memory, like less than 8 gig, I would say go for no Hibernate. Little swap then, or with Hibernate, and swap to file, which is in our case 2 GB, but you can make it bigger to 10, 15, 20, 30. It's just a script that you run and it gets bigger. It's a swap to file. So choices, that's all we give you. This is not that difficult. I think this would be already a good choice. The other ones as well, of course, but X4 is probably gonna be a good file system for you to start with. Later on, you read more about the advantages, disadvantages of BTRFS, advantages, disadvantages, F2, FS, etc. All right, and then you decide your name. How do you log in? And choose a password to log in. Log in automatically, yes, no, oops. Login, yes, no. Use the same password. I advise you as a beginner to use that. Simple, one password to remember. Was one password to rule them all. Think about the ring, right? So we go to install, and this is a last reminder. If you go through it with this thing here, whatever is on the ISO, whatever on the hard disk, or the SSD or the NVMe, it's gonna be gone. And then you install. So our recommendation is very simple. If you are a beginner, use the beginner tool that we've provided to you. It's few menus, and everything will be fine. So there is no, it's important to remember that in the ArcoLinuxD, the point here, why is ArcoLinuxD created? It was created because we had the ArcoLinux XL version. It still had XFC, OpenBox and i3, the three together. And people want to have a very minimal one. So we just said everything gone. We will not install anything. Here it is, a black screen, like ArcoLinux. One of the phases, you go check the number of the phases. When you boot ArcoLinux, it's black. TTY, commando prompts, commands in there, and that's it. Similar here, we get a very fast installation because there is nothing to install almost, right? Or I think 10 packages. Let me think, was it 10 or 11? Was it 9? Anyway, around that number, ArcoLinux packages, and it's basically to have a nice termite configuration and nice wallpapers and stuff like that. So the essential package is probably 4, the key rings and all that, the mirror list. But then it's up to you. If a black screen, you think, okay, I might need a LightYM, or I want to go for GDM, or I want to go for SEDM. And then, what desktop will I take? GDM guys probably gonna go for GNOME or Budgie, and SEDM guys are thinking about Plasma. But SEDM can go with any of the desktops as well, LightYM as well. We've done it in the past, but it's a choice. It's always a choice. There's no preset. You can do anything you like. With the ArcoLinuxD, it really is an advanced, certainly how we did it now, this is a very advanced way of installing an OS, because it's still a lot of the work is still to be done. It's to be done by you, not via our work and our packages. It's going to be via your knowledge, your effort, your time, your configurations, and like they say, the dot files, the .config, the .local files, and all that's in there. It's going to be your doing, and that's of course also interesting. But it's way too soon. Way too soon. I want to stress that again. It is way too soon if you want to start with that as a first approach, right? As a first visit to ArcoLinux. It's way too soon. This really is very difficult and technical, the ArcoLinuxD ISO. So install a bare version of ArcoLinux and run your own scripts. That's what we've done. Or use the Calamares options to install desktop. So select this, select that, select this, and then you have already Plasma, or you have already Mate. That was the advanced approach. But it's gonna be different. So let's reboot and show you how much different that is. There is a black screen and it says welcome, and I say I'm Eric, and that's my password. That's it. It takes 78 megabytes memory, if that's important for you. Wow, right? Of course. You have nothing. You have really nothing. It's graphical 0. So it's up to you to think and install stuff. Sudo pacman -s. Let's first get our databases in. Okay, databases are in. Then we're gonna say, for instance, let's get our SDDM in. Okay, SDDM is installed. Can we make this a little bit bigger? The last lines are falling off there, I see. That's a pity. So that means I do a clear, and we're back up there. Sudo pacman -s. If we have SDDM, we could do Mate, for example, and we'll install Mate. or I can do XFCE, or I can do plasma, or get even more technical, BSPWM. Where do I get the configuration of BSPWM? Aha. Or even worse, DWM. I'm gonna go for DWM. Deeping extra. 22 desktops to choose from. So sudo systemctl, I have installed SDM. I have not enabled it. So sudo systemctl enable SDM. It's all knowledge that you need to have. No knowledge, you stay something black. And we have scripts. ArcoLinuxD, ISO, you can use or reuse. Please reuse our scripts, because a lot of energy went into making these scripts. Git clone them, change them, and push them back online. And try to boot. Doesn't seem to do anything here. Now there he is. And then we boot up. There is my cursor. So this is the look of SDM. Beautiful look, right? That's the standard look. Ours is different. Why? We've put in work, we've put in configurations. This is the standard look of Mate. Why? Because we've changed all the icons and the themes and the wallpapers and you name it, right? Lots and lots of things have changed, but this is a standard Mate, and it's still entirely up to you to get an internet browser. There are hardly any categories. This is it. There is nothing. A few things are there. Alacrity, XURXVT, thank God. We have terminals, because via terminals we need to do our work. We need to put in the extra work. The extra miles have to be done by you. So talking about these, let's do that maybe. I'm gonna go show you something else. In VirtualBox, you do Control F3, and you also are in TTY. What I've shown you in other videos of ArcoLinuxD, you can take a look at the playlists, git clone, HTTPS. We have something on the internet, ArcoLinuxD. We were installing Arco Mate. And there's Arco Plasma, there's Arco BSPWM, etc, etc. ls. We have now lots of scripts. We've made it easy for you. All you need to do is run scripts. 120, you'll have sound. 130, you'll have Bluetooth. 140, you will have printers. Samba is there. 150, laptop stuff. 160, software from ArcoLinux. 200, etc, etc, etc. You run the scripts and you get something. As a result, you get an operating system with certain functionality. But please change anything we've put on there and rewrite them. But you use the energy we've put in those scripts and change whatever you like. So it's a long story. Again, last thing I'm saying, this is not for the beginner. ArcoLinuxD is not for the beginner, but it's for the one who wants to learn. It might be too soon. My suggestion is better later than sooner. All right, enjoy. Cheers.